Jannik Sinner's opponent breaks silence on the words he shared with Sinner when he couldn't walk. Talon Greekspor has spoken after Jannik Sinner was forced to retire from his third-round match at the Shanghai Masters. The world number 2 suffered a leg injury toward the end of the second set and appeared to be cramping in the third. When he called it quits, Sinner could barely walk and needed the physio's help to leave the court amid emotional scenes. Greekspor, who played an impressive match and saved all 6 break points he faced, advanced 6-7 3-7 5 3-2 retired. He later admitted that he too had been struggling in the brutal conditions on what was a hot and humid night in Shanghai. The Dutch tennis star said, "A very unfortunate ending to what I thought was a high-quality match. I thought in the first set we both served very, very well. There wasn't much to do on his serve, nor on mine. He played a really high-level tiebreak, hit a couple of lines, a couple of aces, not much I could do there. Just very happy, pleased with how I stayed in the second set. I got a bit lucky saving that 0-40 at 4-3. Yeah, as I said, not the way you want to win, brutal conditions out here. I wasn't really fresh either. So yeah, I wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see him back very soon." The brutally hot conditions in Shanghai have been a talking point during the early days of the tournament, with players like Holger Rune also struggling and having their vitals checked mid-match. And the slower court speeds at this year's Shanghai Masters aren't helping. Combined with the humidity, the balls are getting big and fluffy during play, making it harder for everyone to hit through the court. While Greekspor didn't seem happy about the slow courts, he confessed they helped him stay in rallies against a tricky opponent like Sinner. "I mean, the court and the balls are extremely slow. The balls are like bowling balls, they're so big, especially at night. So after a few games when they get old, there's not much you can do," he explained. "Although I think we're both guys who can hit through the ball, it's very, very difficult to do that here at night. Yeah, as I said, I felt comfortable in the rallies today against him. I felt he couldn't get me off the court in 1 or 2 shots. Yeah, as I said, pleased with how I did." Greekspor will now face Valentin Vaquero, the Monegasque qualifier ranked number 204 in the world. Meanwhile, Sinner has less than 2 weeks to recover in time for the Six Kings Slam exhibition in Saudi Arabia. Jannik Sinner withdraws from the Shanghai Masters 1000 due to injury. The defending champion of the Shanghai Masters 1000, Jannik Sinner, is out of the tournament after suffering severe cramps in his right leg during his third-round match against Talon Greekspor. The Italian, world number 2, had won the first set in a tight tiebreak, but his body couldn't withstand the demanding heat and humidity of the day. After more than 2.5 hours of play, he decided to retire while trailing 3-2 in the deciding set, visibly limited in his movement. The match began with a high-level exchange of shots. Both players held serve and barely conceded break chances. The Wimbledon champion imposed his quality in long rallies and closed the first set 7-6-3, showing that his defense remained solid after his previous Asian tour. However, the accumulated physical effort began to take its toll as the match progressed, and the Dutchman capitalized on the first signs of fatigue in his rival. In the second set, Greekspor saved a crucial break point at 3-4 and managed to keep the momentum. His aggressive serving helped him escape a tight spot and later break in the 11th game to take the set 7-5. The tension of the match turned into a physical problem for Sinner, who began to feel stiffness in his right thigh and sought relief by applying ice and raising his legs during changeovers. Physical problems end the match. By the third set, the scene had completely changed. The Italian started limping between points and could barely push off with his affected leg. Despite his intention to continue, his movements grew slower, and his shots lost power. Greekspor broke his serve in the 5th game, and after a brief medical timeout, Sinner approached the chair umpire to announce his retirement. He needed help from the tournament staff to walk off the court, supported by the medical team, while the crowd gave him a standing ovation. The defeat is a significant blow in the battle for the world number 1 ranking, where Sinner was trying to close the gap with Carlos Alcaraz. The retirement prevents him from defending the points earned in last year's edition and widens the gap of more than 2,500 points between them in the race to the Turin finals. His exit also opens the draw for Novak Djokovic, who is chasing his 5th title in Shanghai. Greekspor, meanwhile, became the first Dutch player ever to reach the round of 16 in the tournament's history. After the match, he acknowledged the harsh conditions and regretted the ending. "It's not the way you want to win," he said. In the next round, he'll face Valentin Vaquero, while Sinner's immediate future depends on his recovery, in a season that still includes the Paris Masters, the ATP Finals in Turin, and the Davis Cup with Italy. Sinner's striking message about Alcaraz and his withdrawal from Shanghai. The world number 2 lamented that the Spanish star couldn't take part in the Shanghai Masters 1000 in comments following his second round victory. The Shanghai Masters 1000 continues despite the setback of Carlos Alcaraz's last-minute withdrawal, which undoubtedly lowered the tournament's appeal. Still, the excitement remains high with top names like Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner in the draw. Sinner spoke about Alcaraz's absence, and this was his reaction. "It's a shame he's not here because I think he's the player everyone wants to see," said the world number 2 in the press conference after his second round win over Daniel Altmaier. Carlos Alcaraz has had an extraordinary 2025, becoming the biggest crowd draw in the latter part of the season, thanks to the incredible level of tennis he's shown. Since Wimbledon, that form has earned him titles in Cincinnati, the US Open, and the ATP 500 in Tokyo. Therefore, fans' disappointment at not being able to see the Spaniard play is understandable. We'll have to wait to see the world number 1 shine again on court. Sinner responds to Zverev's accusations. Hours after Alexander Zverev accused organizers of showing favoritism toward him and Carlos Alcaraz, the Italian remained calm but firm, delivering a statement that sounded more like a lesson than a defense. "Carlos and I don't make the courts. It's not our decision. We try to adapt to every situation, and every week the conditions are a bit different." Without drama or reproach, Sinner dismantled the German's theory with disarming simplicity, reminding everyone that his success doesn't depend on surface speed but on his ability to adapt and compete. "I've also played great tennis on faster courts," he added. "I don't make the courts, I just try to play my best wherever I'm scheduled to. That's all." It was a short but powerful response. Without seeking controversy, the Italian drew a clear line between those who complain and those who adapt. His tone, calm yet firm, reinforced an idea that defines his character. In modern tennis, it's not the loudest who survive, but those who see every surface as just another challenge. With those words, Sinner didn't just respond to Zverev, he sent a message to the entire circuit. Zverev accuses organizers of favoritism toward Alcaraz and Sinner. Alexander Zverev has stirred controversy in Shanghai with statements as explosive as they are divisive. "I hate that all the courts are the same. Tournaments want to favor Sinner and Alcaraz." The German, after reaching the round of 16 at the Masters 1000, lashed out at what he sees as a deliberate strategy by organizers to benefit the two dominant players of the moment. His argument, the homogenization of court surfaces, with increasingly slower conditions that, according to him, erase historical differences between tournaments and make life easier for Alcaraz and Sinner. Zverev isn't entirely wrong. Shanghai has indeed slowed its courts this year, leaving Canada and Cincinnati as the last bastions of truly fast hard courts. But what stirs debate isn't the fact itself, but how the German interprets it, as a conspiracy to keep players like him from challenging the dominance of his rivals. And there lies the contradiction. While he complains about favoritism, both Sinner and Alcaraz have proven they can shine on any surface, grass, hard, clay, fast or slow. In Cincinnati, one of the fastest courts on the tour, they were both finalists. So where does that leave the German's theory? His outburst sounds less like a sharp observation and more like the frustration of a world number 3 unable to reach the level of the two leading stars of the new era. Federer himself spoke on the topic weeks ago, suggesting it would be interesting to see how Sinner and Alcaraz adapt to truly fast conditions. But coming from Zverev, after a disappointing season, it smells more like frustration than insight. In the end, his outburst leaves one clear question: is court homogenization a real problem in tennis, or just the excuse of those who can't catch the ones who dominate without question? The stunning statistic showing the gap between Alcaraz and Sinner and the rest of the world. The Spanish and Italian stars dominate the tour with a level of superiority that grows more evident by the day. In 2025, they've split nearly every tournament they've entered. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are the best players in the world by a wide margin, and the gap separating them from the rest of the elite keeps growing. This season, they've contested 3 of the 4 Grand Slam finals, splitting the major titles evenly, 2-2. It's becoming increasingly rare to see either of them lose a match unless they're facing each other. Statistically, the gap is striking. The world number 3, Alexander Zverev, trails Sinner, the current world number 2, by nearly 5,000 points in the ATP rankings. The German sits at 5,980 points, which gives him roughly a 5,000-point lead over the world number 50, the same distance that separates him from the Italian. In short, after a 2025 season in which Alcaraz and Sinner have cemented themselves as the undisputed leaders of world tennis, it's fair to conclude that the two best players on the planet are farther ahead of the third than the third is from the 50th, at least statistically.